Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of Moms for Black Sons. It's just Peggy and I again. I think she's going to be my partner in crime for a while. Our crew's busy, lots going on. And we're just going to talk to you a little bit today about another episode that I think you're going to love, getting those children of ours ready for post-secondary, whether that's college or university, trade school. I mean, there's so many options for our children these days, but we really want to make sure they're ready. And I know that journey looks a little different for everyone. So I think Peggy and I are going to try to give you our best advice. Yeah?
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is probably just talk about how, what happened with us.
Right.
In terms of our kids, because we both have kids going off to university this year.
Yes. Very exciting.
I think the process is different for both of our kids.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know. Did you do anything special to prepare your kids for?
Well, in this case, it's not a black son; it's a black daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter is turning 18 next month, and she is, typical first child, A-type personality, but she's a pleaser. So she does everything that you ask in exactly the way that you ask. And, some parents are probably out there thinking, well, that's what you want, isn't it? But sometimes I worry about the fact that, she's doing it because you want her to, rather than because that's what she wants. But that being said, when we sat down and started the university or post-secondary conversation, she said that she wanted to go to school locally and she wanted to go to university. And so for her, that meant Ryerson, UFT, or York, because those were kind of the three big schools in terms of her interests. So we really just started to research those schools, what they offered, what type of program she was interested in, and just started the conversation that way. That's kind of how we started the ball rolling.
So did she know from the get-go what she wanted to study?
She had said that she was interested in the arts, right? So she talked about criminology, psychology, sociology. This isn't me harping on sociology, but I kept asking her, what do you do with that? So with the arts, I think you have to try to be as concrete as you can, right? Just because all degrees aren't created equal. So really got her thinking about, of all the arts and all the ones you said you were interested in, which one is, where do you think you're most passionate? So that helped a little bit. And I do think what's exciting for these kids now is that the universities and the colleges, their courses are so great. When I was in school, they were boring. Like now there's like all kinds of stuff that they didn't have before, many new areas. So I do think it's an exciting time to be a young person going to post-secondary. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For me, I would say that, well, in my case, I have a young black male. And I think we started a conversation a long time ago. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do when you grow up? And through the time,
Peggy probably started asking him at about 3 years old.
Actually, yes. From about 3.
Why am I not surprised?
But from about 3, well, yeah, from about 3, he, from then to now, I think it's changed. But it was consistent up until maybe grade 10, 11. When he changed because he was always, he wanted to do something in science, whether it was physics,
right,
chemistry, something in science. He was is a gifted musician. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, do you want to do music? No, don't want to do music. Do you want to go to an art school? No, don't want to go to an art school. Mm-hmm. And then finally, grade 11, I think he's decided, he wants to go to music. He wants to study music. Again, I offered, do you want to go to art school? Still no. So we kind of left that as is. But in terms of preparing for me, it was like always making, being aware of what was going on in his school life. And if there was any area I think that he needed to improve on, I made sure I got him tutored in that area. So it was kind of preventative, like being proactive.
Right.
So, I didn't wait for the program, the issue to develop. I try to
Yeah, you were
deal
right in
with
there.
it.
You were engaged. And that's great. And I think the fact that you could do that and offer your son that kind of guidance and support all the way along is you're reaping the rewards and the benefits of that now, right? Just, I mean, for a lot of parents, they may not have that option, right? You are really busy or working multiple jobs,
Yeah.
or some parents are intimidated by even the school system or the way they've been treated or their child has been treated. So it's a complicated thing. It's easier said than done. But I think the fact that you've been able to do it and do it successfully, means that in the long run, that will pay both you and your son, benefits,
Yeah,
right?
because one of the things too, well, I think one of the things that's helpful as well is the fact that if you have teachers who are vested in the kids,
Yes.
I think that definitely goes a long way because, my son hasn't always been, on top of things all the time.
Well, no child ever is,
Yeah.
Peggy,
But
right?
you get, you have the teachers following up and say, oh, this person did not, submit. You get an email.
Right.
Oh, he's missing, didn't submit his assignment on time, blah, blah, blah. And then you can follow up like, what are you doing?
Right.
Whereas there are some schools or some teachers who they don't really,
Right. They don't care.
They don't care. It's like, it's up to you if you're going to pass or not.
Right. Right. Well, I think the good thing now is that at least we've got really easy ways to stay connected with our children's teachers, right? So if you have a child in grade 11 or grade 12, there's still time to kind of get that ball rolling. I guess not grade 12,
Yeah.
but at least grade 11, there's still time to kind of salvage that, get invested, email addresses for teachers, texts. There's lots of easy ways now to stay in touch, even if you're busy. And I think Peggy's advice is great, like just really staying on top of what is happening with your child, because, you don't want any surprises, in the December before they graduate. It's heartbreaking, I think, for both people when that kind of stuff comes up, and it's a surprise to the parent, much less to the child. Yeah.
But even being on top of stuff, like for me, I found that although I was on top of stuff, I still wasn't on top of stuff enough because there were certain things like I did not, I'm not familiar with the Ontario educational system per se, because mine is from the Caribbean as well as from Montreal.
Okay.
And our system is completely different to Ontario. So for me, like one of the things that I didn't know, I wasn't aware of, is that in order for you to go to university, you had to get courses that were like
they have to take the academic level
or U courses.
Yeah.
Although my son was in an AP class, which is an advanced class, he went around and took the AP courses, but there are some courses that he took that maybe he shouldn't have taken.
Right.
And if I had known this, I would have made sure he had taken all these courses. So right now he's at the stage whereby he had 2 more courses that he had to take, which was the U and the M courses. And this is something I would not have known, I would not have allowed him to do if I had known. But again, because of the guidance counselor at his school meeting, we have to have a meeting. So everybody was involved, the principal, the guidance counselor, teachers. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Oh, he needs to get this. I'm like, oh, I wasn't aware of this.
Right.
Like,
yes.
like you have all the high school credits, but you were missing 2 of those courses.
Right.
Which you should not be leaving until the last minute.
Right. And that's what I meant by surprises. So I think that's excellent advice in terms of parents just, getting on top of now, if you don't ever want to rule out any options for your children, right? So if university is something that you think your child is interested in, make sure that they have the right level of those U or M level courses and not wait until the 11th hour and have to mobilize. The good news is obviously that you were able to rally the troops and get him sorted out. And so what is the result of all of your hard work? So you're now on top of the fact that, your son got the required number of courses. He applied to universities. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay. So he, as I said, he was part of the AP class.
Yeah.
He applied to universities.
Mm-hmm.
He decided eventually that he wants to go into music.
Yes.
And the whole part, I guess you can talk to the fact about how I'm not sure, social
sciences.
Social sciences
Mm-hmm.
differ in terms of my son who's going into music. So in terms of pursuing music as a career, to study, he had to do an audition.
Yes.
Apply, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of that, then he also had to get interviewed.
Yes.
And for one of the universities, he also had to get a test.
Right.
On top of that.
Yes.
So it was a little bit intense. I never knew that, there was so much involved with getting into university. So saying all that, yes, he applied to universities. He was able to get into the top schools in Canada.
Good. Excellent.
And one of the top schools in the world for music.
Fabulous. Congratulations.
Which is in the U.S.
Yes.
And with some of these schools, he got scholarships.
Excellent.
That were awarded
Fantastic.
to him. So I'm very proud of him.
Good.
It's not, he's put in the work. And I guess one of the things I want to say to parents out there is that if your kids are passionate about something, support them as much as you can. You know what I mean? Because you never know when they're going to make this, turn this into a career.
Exactly.
As I said, he never wanted to study music, but this is something that he decided to do at the last minute. He did not go to an art school.
Yeah.
This is just from him taking lessons. And the funny thing is that he now wants to study jazz composition and jazz performance.
Good for him.
And when I initially signed him up I signed him up for an audition with FM 91 Big Band, and he was set against it. It's like, I don't play jazz. I don't know. I'm like, you don't really have much of a choice. You're going to go try it because I think it's important for you to widen your
diversity. Yeah.
Widen your horizon. Learn to play different genres, not just classical, but learn to do different things.
Right.
So he was dead set against it. And now that's all, he's like, Mom, jazz, there's just so much that you can do with jazz, I'm like, oh.
Ain't that the truth?
So, you can't just take what they say or, yes, it's good to,
I think what you're demonstrating, Peggy, is that it's a partnership, right?
Yes.
It's a partnership between you and your child in terms of what your child is interested in and kind of, where they, kind of are passionate.
Yeah.
Plus your guidance and experience as a parent and obviously as someone who wants the best for them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it has to be a partnership.
Yeah.
Jazz's journey, speaking of jazz, my jazz, and that's the reason we named her Jazz, because both my husband and I love jazz music.
Oh, okay.
We love the music. So that's the story behind her name, as people often like to ask. She, her steps were pretty functional steps. She was, like I said, this child is a pleaser. She took all the required university courses, and all along, yes, I made her take the university math, the sciences, which she hates. But again, I didn't want her to be limited at the end of the race. So she applied to the universities. She heard positive responses from all. And so now she has a choice, right? She has a choice. And she's excited about September. She's excited about this next opportunity. My son, who's in grade 10, like Peggy talked about, just supporting their interests. He's very sports oriented. He likes sports. And so we've talked about, using sport as an entry into post-secondary. So I think every child's journey is going to be different. And Peggy's right. I think we really have to support them to be successful. Yeah. Because that's our job.
Yeah, it is. I can't think of anything else that we, to me, and I say to my son all the time, this is what I'm here for. My purpose in life is to set you up, because for me, I don't want, when I'm not here, and I'm not going to be here when I'm 104, as I said.
Well, she's got lots of time with us, folks. Lots of time.
in a previous episode, I said I'm going to be living through 104.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
within that 104, I want to make sure that I set my child up so that if I'm not here, he can function
Right.
to the best of his ability.
And I'm glad you said that, because I think that's the other thing as parents, that we do too much for our children. I mean, it's one thing to offer them guidance, support, advice, direction, if you will, because that absolutely is our jobs. But we also have to know when to back up a little bit and give them an opportunity to use all of those skills that we gave them, right? And test out their ability to make adult decisions. Think about what the consequences might be of choice one versus choice two, right? So I think that that's our job as parents. And I think that's tricky. I think it's harder for us than it is for these kids, right? So how do we give them the tools that they need to make adult decisions, but then let them actually make those decisions? Right.
Yeah. And I think we were having a conversation some time ago, and you was, saying that Jazz choosing the university was her decision, which you allowed her to make. Well, for me, yes, ultimately, at the end of the day, he has to make that decision. But I think it's important for me to point out to him, these are the pros and the cons. And based on this, yes.
But who's pros and who's cons, right? I mean, that's the other thing as parents. Are they our pros and our cons, or are they actually his pros and his cons?
Well, it would be coming from my perspective.
Well, that's my point. That's
my
point.
I would present to you, this is what I think and my reasons why I think that you should be doing this.
Right.
Ultimately.
Did you hear what she said? My reasons why you should be doing this.
Yes.
So that, Peggy, is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I let him know that these are my reasons. But I say to him, ultimately, the decision is yours. You're going to make the decision because you're going to live with the decision that you're going to make. I am not going to live with it. It's your decision to make, and you have to live it. So this is why I think that you should go to this school. And this is, these are my reasons.
I'm not going to tell you guys I agree with her, because
That's okay.
I don't. And I think that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Yes, we can.
But I think anytime you tell a child or someone who's asked you for advice that this is why I think you should do this, then already you've changed the trajectory for them, because now they're going to be considering what you want.
Not necessarily.
Well, then.
Not necessarily.
I do have, my background is in psychology, and I do well in the study of human behavior. And I will tell you that that's how our brains work, especially between children and adults.
Yeah,
different
not always.
Maybe with spouses or friends or other places where the playing field is level. But believe it, whether the child does it or not is another story.
Yes.
But they have considered it. That much I can tell you.
Well, I would like them to consider it.
Right. Yeah.
Hence
strongly.
Hence the reason I'm making suggestions.
Yes. So, you've got some different perspectives here, and there's nothing wrong with diversity and difference. And I think that's what also makes us a great group of parents. And we can support each other in those diverse perspectives. And I do give Peggy a hard time all the time, so she's used to this.
Yeah, she does.
Regardless, Peggy, of whether or not I 1,000% support your strategy, it has worked for your son and your family, and you have his successes to show for it. So you are doing an incredible job.
Why, thank you.
And I wouldn't change anything that you're doing.
Well, obviously, as you said, we do have to find what works for us, right?
Right.
So, absolutely. I can't be a Heather, and Heather can't be a Peggy.
Right.
So. Yeah. So she's living her best life ever. Is that how you put it?
That's what I say. Living my best life.
Yes. I'm trying to live my best life as well. However, for me, there are other things like,
all good.
Yes, all good.
And in the meantime, we're supporting our children.
Yes, we are, which is the most important thing.
Exactly.
For me, and you, I guess as parents, one of the things that we find very gratifying is that when your kid or your kids come and say thank you, thank you, Mom, for guiding me. Thank you, Mom, for being there for me. It's sometimes just makes you feel so good.
It does.
That they actually think about these things and appreciate it.
Yes.
And I don't know how you feel about that.
I do. It always obviously feels great when they recognize that, you were doing something for them and for their best interests. And it's always nice to hear a thank you.
Yes.
So what's next for your son? What's next?
So what's next for my son is, I guess, deciding.
Yes.
One would think that, like I was saying before, one would think that applying, okay, what universities do apply to?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew it was going to be so hard to choose which university do I want to go to.
Right.
When you have all these great choices, because before I remember he was like, oh, Mom, I don't know, am I going to be able to get into university? I'm like, really? Just focus on, you have to set your priorities. You have to get through these courses. You get through these courses.
Yes.
Don't worry. Don't put the cart before the horse. Like, do what you need to do, and then everything else will follow. So now it's like, okay, so you got into all these schools, got into 5 schools with scholarships from, I think, 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I guess he's being awarded another scholarship from another organization.
Fantastic.
So it's like, okay, so where do you want to go? Do you want to stay in Quebec? You want to stay in Ontario? You want to go to Quebec?
Right.
You want to go to the US? What do you want to do?
Well, he has options.
He
so
has
that's
options.
amazing.
And
That's
I said to
amazing.
him, you have all these options, you got to get your act together, especially with these courses that you didn't finish.
Right.
Because think about, you're going to lose out on all of these courses, all of these offers that you have if you don't finish your school.
Right.
So right now it's like determining, deciding which one.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to go to the best of the best, which costs a whole lot of money?
Right.
Or am I going to stay local where I have a full scholarship? So it's like, where do you go from here?
Right.
So I think he's narrowed it down to 2 schools.
Good.
One in Canada, one in the US.
Okay.
And
So this is the beginning of making those adult decisions.
Well, yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, I wish him the best. And I know whatever decision he ends up making, it will be the right one for both of you. And, just a long overdue success of all of your hard work, Peggy. So you can take a little break and breathe and maybe focus on
now I can have a life.
You. Yes, living your best life.
Now I can start living my best life.
Excellent.
And stop being a chauffeur.
Yes, trust me, that's a good one too. And I'm so glad Jazz drives. So, do we have any parting final advice for folks as they...
What do you think?
I think you've covered it. And I have to say, for me, it was fairly easy because, Jazz did exactly as we asked her to. And I'm not going to pretend it was so hard. It really wasn't difficult with her. I suspect it will be a little more difficult with my son, but that's okay because I've been through one and I'm kind of ready for the next version. And I'm excited for her to start school. She's going to stay local, as I mentioned at the beginning. And I think university offers up just a whole new set of experiences that really starts to, formulate their adult thinking and connections and all of the learning, if you will, and decision making. So it's exciting.
Is there anything that you've learned through the process that you may want to do differently?
Not really. I think, take cues from your child. And I did take my cues from Jazz, as easy as she was. Just I'll do that again and adjust as I need to because it's a different child. But just take the cues from your child and the partnership, as I mentioned, I think is key. It is not you telling them exactly what they should do. It's them also telling you what they want and together making those decisions that are good for them. Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all I have too. I just be on top of things, as I think we've mentioned in past episodes, like, get to know the teachers.
Yes.
Have a relationship with them. So then that way, you can be on top of things because things will slip through the cracks.
Absolutely. And some of our moms who aren't here today are teachers.
Yeah.
And or, one in particular who's also very engaged with her son's learning, right? So that is excellent advice, and you can't go wrong when you have connections and you have relationships and you know what's happening with your child. So.
And, you know, we do understand that it's hard for some parents because they're so busy having, as you mentioned, you know, more than one job, you know, to go to. But you got to find some way to reach out and stay in touch and be on top of things. And don't let people tell you, oh, you know, they're old enough, da-da-da-da. You have to guide them. You still have to guide them.
For sure.
You know, like some people I remember used to say, oh, you know, like I would say, oh, he has to be in bed a certain time, da, da, da. It's like, why are you doing? I'm like, you have to set that right now, because when they get older, they're going to do what they want to do, right?
Right.
But when whatever you can control at any given time, if it's in their best interest, you try and control that.
Absolutely.
You know, so always be on top of these things. And it's a journey, and you're going to get there eventually.
Well, and, you know, you mentioned it's a journey, and maybe if that's the only other piece of advice, I would say enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we're so caught up in doing it that we forget to take a moment to enjoy it. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the successes, celebrate.
Yeah, it's important.
You know,
to celebrate.
I don't know if there's anything that happens that's earth-shattering. Because I mean, you said it earlier, even with your son maybe not taking all of the courses he needed, you were able to kind of rally, get that rectified, and you're, you know, making sure that that's not an issue now. So I don't think there's anything that can't be repaired or fixed if you don't catch it early enough, right? So yeah, if you catch it early enough. Sorry.
Yeah. So just be on top of things and
exactly.
Be there for them.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is support. And especially now we've been going through the pandemic with all these mental health issues.
Yes.
We have to, you know, be aware of what's going on in their lives, you know, what are they up to, this sort of stuff, and just be there to support them when they need it.
And you've heard me say this before. When you ask somebody how they're doing and they say fine, fine is not an answer. You got to give me more than fine. And that
you have to drill down a little bit
includes the
more.
Children, anybody that you ask, right? Fine is not an answer. It usually means go away.
Because I remember when the kids would come home from school, oh, what did you do in school today? Nothing.
Yeah. So you were at school for 8 hours and you did nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah. So and this is why it's important to meet with the teachers, right?
Exactly.
If you can't make parents,
my child tells me they're doing nothing all day. Can you tell me more about that?
Nothing. What did you do? Nothing. You seeing nothing? No. But what can you do?
Well, I think, Peggy, we are at that time where
we're saying goodbye.
You are going to say goodbye on behalf of us. And
on behalf of us, I'm saying goodbye and hope to see you again soon. So we're hoping that we can continue to do this on a continuous basis.
Absolutely.
And we would like to just ask anyone out there, if you have any particular topic or issues that you would want to see us discuss, send us a message on any of these platforms, I guess, because we'll be on Facebook, Instagram, and
the gram.
Yeah, so just send us a message. If there's anyone out there who wants to appear or be part of a discussion, we can accommodate that too as well by Zoom. Yeah. You don't have to be in the same room with us, but we can, connect up with you.
But let's be honest. Please. I mean, we are coming back to the land of the living, so let's try for in person as much as we can.
Well, just in case you're not in the same country,
right?
Because we do have people who are in other countries. So if you want to connect up with us on a particular topic, or that you want us to discuss, or you want to discuss with us, please let us know, and we'll be happy to connect up with you. So this is all that we have for today. So thank you for joining us, and have a safe week, month, depending on when we meet next. That's it.
She's such a great closer. Thank you, everyone. Take care and stay well.
Take care.